All right. We live again, family, on General Setty's YouTube page. We got a fire presentation today. We're gonna be talking about the great legend Malcolm X. Today his name is being thrown around by a lot of people. You see, that did not have Malcolm X in their mouth about nothing. You see, and Malcolm X was looked down as somebody. You got to be hush hush about Malcolm X because of a lot of the things that he said. And so today, now people want to claim Malcolm X today. People want to claim Malcolm X today and want to talk about we even talking about the Nation of Islam. We talking about FBA, and yes, Malcolm X came up in the Nation of Islam. Yes, he went astray, and he was saved from the prison system by the Nation of Islam. These are facts. We don't deny the fact, but he had a upbringing in Black nationalism by his parents, which a lot of people tend not to they tend not to bring up that legacy, because a lot of people today are using Malcolm X even as FBA, foundational Black American, even though his mother and his father were Garveyites. Okay, were Garveyites. Nobody wants to talk about why Malcolm X was so profound. Well, you think that he just up and became, this astute in political psychology, political ideology. These were teachings that Malcolm X had received in his earlier age, his earlier years, where under his father and under his mother, the great politics of the Honorable Mosiah Marcus Garvey. And so this is why Malcolm X was so astute in politics. Nobody wants to bring that up. But see, the thing why I brought Malcolm X up today, because he is a icon and a image of what you could show where he was also Black American. Many of y'all say foundational Black American and a Pan-Africanist. You see, you say Malcolm, yeah, yep, that's right. They were kids. Yeah, his father was murdered by the KKK. Because he was teaching that Black nationalism. He was teaching the Marcus Mosiah Garvey's Back to Africa teachings. But see, what people don't understand that. See, when you create something for the first time, it could be grandioso. It could be grandioso. When you first jump into a grandioso idea, it takes time to work something like that out. As you start, and you have the idea, and we do this ourselves. If you're the type that write down a plan, you can write down a plan for the first time. You got a grandioso idea, but as you start to work it, you realize that you have to you have to change some things. You have to change some things, and you have to keep changing things. No plan stays the same. Over years, it's still going to develop and develop and develop. And so, Marcus Garvey had this idea because we talking about the early 1900s. They lynching and killing and it's just widespread. No, African's life in the United States wasn't worth two dead flies. And so, Marcus Garvey said, you know what, let's get up, and he did not speak for everybody. He didn't go in the house and say, let's and snatch people up out their damn house. Most of the time when you join something, it's something in you that's in agreement with that. See, so I don't respect people just saying because somebody say. It's a whole lot of people got a whole lot of ideas. That don't mean I'm gonna join you. So just having it got to be an idea that I find some of my own my own passions and things of that I see something in that that I already have as, a passion or a goal or something that I envision in the future. So yes, okay, let me see if I can work with that group or something like that. So a lot of people saw truth in his message to get that many numbers. And so, beyond and above and beyond any other man, in the history of the United States dealing with black people, Marcus Garvey built the largest movement of any member. And every other group, I don't give a damn which man, I don't give a damn which movement you call, they use Marcus Garvey's movement as a blueprint, regardless to whether they took all his ideals or not. He had fabulous ideals that they did take. They didn't have to take all of them, but they did cut and paste from Marcus Garvey's success into their own group. I don't care which one of them that it was, okay? And so now when we talk about the Nation of Islam, yes, they did take from them. Yes, when we talk about the Moral Science Temple, yes, they did take from Marcus Garvey. Even when you talk about the Black Panthers, even though they was into some other, they still took from Marcus. There was not one teaching that they had that wasn't already being taught in the Marcus Garvey Back to Africa movement. Okay, so Malcolm X was the return of Marcus Garvey. He understood what was, because one thing about Malcolm X is that he had a chance to get into Africa. You see, he had a chance to get into Africa, and he understood that ain't gonna be no damn, they over there fighting a revolution right now. You see, they ain't free. So ain't gonna be no, Mark, he understood that. So, Malcolm X was actually the teacher of many of them revolutionary leaders in Africa. Malcolm X taught them a lot of their tactics and strategy. That was Malcolm over there. You see, influencing a whole lot of people. And that was one of the reasons why they wanted him dead. You see, but he was and so the thing is, we understand that Pan-Africanism is not about just moving back to Africa. You see, we know that, we understand everybody not going back to Africa. Some going back, some ain't. Some people gonna practice they Pan-Africanism right where they at, which they should. They Pan-Africanism could be practicing Black power right in the community. If it's in a city, if it's on a block, that's gonna be their aspect of Pan-Africanism. The part where Marcus Garvey, going back to, and he said he wasn't taking all Black people back, no way. You see, he didn't have no intentions on taking all Black people back. He was trying to build and the one thing that Marcus Garvey was talking about, he wasn't talking about blending all off into Africa, no way. He was trying to keep the power of our people in one nation. And he was trying, having the people to be, the cabinet and the president and all of that. He wasn't trying to just blend in to no nation like that. He was trying to run some things. You see what I'm saying? So obviously, what people see today and what they interpret as and again, going back to Africa, if that's what it is, that's your Pan-Africanism. That still is a part of Pan-Africanism. Going back to Africa, we applaud people. If that's in your heart, you can't tell nobody. They can watch all the videos that you put up, but if it's in their heart to go back to the motherland, then they going. They don't give a damn about what nobody say. And just like, you got many people in the FBA, they so, they into, they so gun-ho about what they believe in. That's okay. You see, it's okay, because in the end, it's all regardless to whatever you believe in. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come a time where you're going to have to stand up for it one way or another. And if you don't, you just going to be another person out here talking, running off at the mouth. That's going to be the end of that. But anyway, we tried to, the reason why I brought this up, because A lot of people today act as if Malcolm X, or FBA, yeah, he was FBA, but he was a Garveyite. He was a Garveyite. That's where he got his political astuteness from, because he was being taught by his father and his mother the teachings of Garvey. That's why when you listen to Malcolm X, he was so different than any other minister in the Nation of Islam, even above and beyond Elijah Muhammad. Even above and above, man, they was over there talking about spaceships and shit like that. They was talking about, all, more mythological shit. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm X was talking about politics. He was above, and man, I used to listen to Malcolm X, and he would have straight teachings on revolutionary tactics, revolutionary. He wouldn't even mention none of that shit in the Nation of Islam. It'll be just whole. When you listen to his greatest speeches, message to the grassroots, when you listen to Ballad of the Bullet, you don't hear nothing about no Yaqub. You don't hear nothing, just political strategy on what to do. You see, and though he was into the Garveyite thing, he knew that the Pan-Africanism of today is you practice your Pan-Africanism wherever you located. All that going back, because it's wars on the planet. The only way you're going to have that truly is when African land and people have been freed, truly freed from colonialism. And so until that is done, the fight is still on. So how, so that's what it is. So he knew they was over there, shooting it out. Africa just technically got independence. A lot of nations in Africa just technically started getting independence in the 70s, the 80s. They ain't, come on, let's talk about this. So, in Marcus Garvey time, he had the utopian idea of what people could aspire to be. It would be the best thing for our people if we could have a world where all Black people could respect one another, can freely go in and out of nations without a problem. That's the utopia we want, you see? But when the first person who created an idea like that, it got to be worked on. It's nothing. So, he didn't understand, all of the dynamics because he couldn't get into Africa at that time. But Malcolm came to Africa. He was able to see, and at that time, Malcolm X was seeing revolutions all over Africa. So he was saying that we should look at what they was doing over there and get some of them tactics over here. That's what Malcolm was saying. You see, that's exactly what he was saying. You see, he said, you watch your brothers and sisters over there in Africa, and you got some in Asia. See how they got free? That's how you gonna get free. You ain't gonna get free singing no damn Negro spirituals. You see, he said, so he was talking about getting it on right here. He was saying, get your freedom right here. That's what he was saying. And I believe a lot of people understand that, but they, they want to, trick people into believing that, something, that the philosophy of Marcus Garvey been evolving, over, the years since he been gone. Marcus Garvey over 100 years now. You see, Marcus Garvey been gone over 100 years now. So we can't expect that, our people is in the same, even though some of the conditions he already warned us against have already happened. You see, have already happened. And the things that we seeing today, he had already prophesied would happen. Not in the prophecy or no biblical, but in the fact that he understood political ideologies that would show and prove if we did not do what he was asking us to do, that we would be, man, we're going to be so effed up. You understand? We're going to be slated for extermination because we won't have no place in the world to call our own. You see? And so that's where we at today. So you got to quit co-opting Malcolm X. Malcolm X said many times that we were Africans. That's what Malcolm X said. And he never stopped saying that at no point in time. So how could he be, about his people here in America and be for Africa? So he's the prime example of what a foundational Black American and a Pan-African, without allowing, one to play on the other. You see, it's a balance there. Okay, it's a balance there, and so we have to look deeper into how the Garvey movement and the policies and politics of many of these people have cut and pasted, and though they may have not taken that aspect of Garvey of connecting back to Africa, they took other policies of Marcus Garvey that's so true to us, to our liberation, that they had to add it in there. But they do not give him credit for that, including Martin Luther King. You see, including Martin Luther King, which a lot of FBA tend to bring Martin Luther King up, and I know exactly why, because he was a Christian. And so that's what it really boiled. That's one of the factors that, they have a problem with. And the factor is the majority of FBA is Christians. And I'm not getting away from that. You're Christians. So now you got a problem, because when y'all start talking about all this ethnogenesis, the Black church is one of the biggest aspects that you could say of the ethnogenesis. The Negroes, gospel, the church, the Black church, and all of that. That's one of the things. So y'all got a problem. The Jesus factor. That's really what it boiled down to. You see what I'm saying? That's one of the major aspects y'all have a problem with. You see what I'm saying? That's what it is. So, how you going to be a foundational Black American with a white Jewish Messiah? And we could get into the Bible and show that it come out of Africa too. So you're running, but you cannot get away. You cannot get away, because, those of us know better. We know better. But anyway, family, I just wanted to bring that fact up, that Malcolm X was a Garveyite. His mother and father were Garveyites. And that's why Malcolm X was so astute in politics, because he was raised under the tutelage of, the greatest at that time, and to this day, the greatest ideology to put Black people on the right path or where they need to be going. You see, on a global scale. You see what I'm saying? On a global scale. But anyway, family, you say the fear of the Greek writer Homer. Yeah, that's right. But anyway, family, we got some fire for this evening. I want y'all to check me out on Patreon, man. We got the fire. We're going to be dealing with, I got the flyer, but I didn't put it up there. But anyway, we're going to be talking about that. Foundational Black Americans with a white Jewish Messiah. You see, Jesus get a pass. Garvey can't get no pass. He can't get no. They always bring up the fact that Marcus Garvey was Jamaican. Jesus was a damn Jew. But he and every they giving out goddamn what they call it when they pass the plate. They pass the plate and they giving Jesus their money. He from way over there in Bethlehem. You see, yeah, they giving his ass money every day. How he get a pass and Garvey can't get a pass. And Garvey, at least Garvey was on the ground over here trying to put some work in. Jesus ain't never put no work in over here. So we got to figure this one out. All right, family, I'll see y'all in a minute. The collection play. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so Jesus getting all the money, the damn community, and Garvey trying to uplift the community, made businesses and printing presses and all that, putting out newspapers and all that. He was the one that, where, the Nation of Islam, Malcolm X took it to them. Marcus Garvey was already putting out Negro World, the newspaper, and that's where Malcolm X invented the paper for Muhammad Speaks for the Nation of Islam. See, I know. So I don't even have to. So Let's talk about that. Anyway, family, I'll see y'all in a minute. Get over there to Patreon. We also going to be talking about how Egypt brought the world out of darkness. We got to talk about that somehow. I don't know why we have to, but we have to continue to do this to keep our people aware of the facts. But anyway, get over there, family. The link is at the top of the chat, and I'll see y'all in a minute. Boom, Black Power.